It's a matter of time. Dark skies and howling winds. The sun is come and gone. What stands will surely fall. Chaos is coming. Chaos is coming down. It's gonna rain. Heart won't wash away.
Program is rated MALSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, let's see. I'm not sure if that's exactly is the word, but that's what's going on. Anyways, how are you? Today is Thursday, January the 12th of 2023, day numero 12 of the year, and only 353 days left to go. How are you doing on this fantastic Thursday? I hope everything is good and grand inside of your neck of the woods as we are doing the things that we get to do. Anyways, we are broadcasting from the Safety 2 Practical Application Conference going on in St. Petersburg, Florida. So a lot of fun times as we are doing stuff. It is still relatively early in comparison to everything else that is going on right now. So I get it. So how are things? What have you been doing over the last 23 hours since you and I hung out on the proper show? So as you are aware, this is the Rated R Safety Show, hour number 1 of the Jay Allen in the Morning Show. So we will do that. As we get into hour 2 and 3 today, we're going to be doing heavy music stuff. So I just want to kind of give you the fair warning ahead of time so that way we can kind of go through the whole transition of things that is going on. And so as you can see around, I am not broadcasting from the studio today because it is definitely a different environment and the sound quality might be slightly different than what you're accustomed to. So let's start talking right away about everything that's going on inside of the world, and let's start talking about what was trending.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so taking it from the very top, the FAA and Mayor Pete landed in Twitter's top 10 trends on Wednesday morning as the chaos ensured with flights across the country. We can talk a little bit more about that inside of the hit list this morning. iHeartRadio Awards was trending on Wednesdays as fans used the official social media tag to vote what was going on with their favorite artist. Wrestling fans reacted to the outrage on Twitter over rumors that the WWE has been sold, and we can talk a little bit more about that here in just a bit. And then country crooner Eric Church was trending yesterday after announcing his summer 2023 Outsider Revival tour that will be taking place. So there you go. So let's get into it. If you want to interact with the show, it's kind of a simple process of doing so. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com to get everything hanging and banging and going, moving and grooving with everything that's going on inside of there. You'll have the option of doing video messaging, audio messaging, and my preferred method, text messaging. You can still take a listen to what the hell we have going on throughout today on Safety FM, or go to radiobig.fm, and we are streaming on iHeartRadio, so you don't have to worry about that. So we'll take care of you on that side of the sequence as well. And we are still being infiltrated.
You're being infiltrated. Radio Big.
So, like I always like to say, if you're new to the show, we talk about safety in the news and safety. That way you can take a listen to what is going on inside of the world of the news and have something to talk about in regards of being involved with people that are doing safety. This way, when you go in there, you're just not talking about safety right away, and we can get everything going for you from that particular standpoint. We do have some professional broadcasters that will still come in, even as we're not inside of the studio today, to let you know what the hell is going on inside of the world of the news. I will tell you, because, we keep it real here. The screen that I'm looking at today is micro mini, so it's going to be all kinds of fun time as I'm trying to get through the parameters of everything that I'm doing here. So I apologize for the torture sequence before we even get you moving inside of there. So don't worry about that, but I will make sure that you're taken care of in the best way possible. If you're not able to listen to the whole thing, we will still be available on our podcast sequence. All you have to do is go to the Rated R Safety Show on your favorite podcatcher just to get that moving right away. So with that being said, let's get you moving inside of the world of the news, because I think that that's going to be important for what exactly we have going on right now.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Scott Carr. The death toll in California is now up to 19 as yet another storm hits that state. Sheriffs in Sonoma County say the toll rose after a person was found dead in a car submerged in 8 to 10 feet of water Wednesday. Nurses at 2 New York City hospitals have reached a tentative agreement ending a strike that started earlier this week. More than 7,000 nurses are expected back at work today. The deal includes a 19% raise and 170 new nursing positions at Montefiore, one of the impacted hospitals. No word yet on details of the deal with Mount Sinai. The FAA says a corrupted file was the cause of thousands of flight delays Wednesday. All domestic flight departures had to be stopped by the FAA, causing over 8,000 delays and well over 1,000 cancellations. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg says while there's no evidence the file was the result of a cyber attack, he says he wouldn't rule it out. Aides to President Biden have reportedly found a second batch of classified materials at a new location. Mark Mayfield has more.
This comes after the White House acknowledged on Monday that a small number of classified documents were found at an office Biden used after leaving the Obama administration. NBC News reports the additional documents have now been found in a separate location. Biden aides have been searching for classified materials that may be in other areas after the initial batch was found just before the midterm elections at a Washington think tank. The president said this week he was surprised to learn any records had been found and that he's unaware of what's in them.
New Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, is removing 3 Democrats from their committee assignments in the new Congress. McCarthy confirms he'll block California Congressman Adam Schiff, as well as Eric Swalwell and Congresswoman from Minnesota Ilhan Omar from their committee assignments. He can block Schiff and Swalwell from the House Intelligence Committee on his own. He'll seek to persuade a House majority to bar Omar from the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Scott Carr, NBC News Radio.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Aides working for US President Biden have found a second set of classified documents. Russia's President Putin's removed the commander of Russian forces in Ukraine. Germany's resisting pressure for now from several NATO allies to allow German-made tanks to be given to Ukraine, and unions are holding fresh talks with government in the UK in an attempt to end some of the industrial action gripping the UK economy.
Listen to our host
of the Rated R Safety Show
self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
The suspect in the brutal stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students is due in court today. Authorities say Brian Koberger is scheduled for a stat. The 28-year-old Washington State University grad student is accused of killing 4 students in November as they slept in an off-campus house they shared. The new Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, will not call on New York Congressman George Santos to resign for making up key parts of his resume and background.
McCarthy told reporters he sticks by the Constitution and voters elected Santos to serve. When asked about Santos admitting to lying, McCarthy responded by saying, "So did a lot of people here in the Senate and others." His remarks come after local New York Republicans, as well as fellow freshman GOP Congressman Anthony D'Esposito, urged Santos to step down. However, McCarthy added Santos shouldn't be seated on top committees. Santos said he won't relinquish his seat. I'm Lisa Taylor.
President Biden says he does not support a potential ban on gas stoves. A federal consumer safety official earlier called the appliance hidden hazards because of emissions that have been linked to asthma. A White House spokesperson told CNN the Independent Consumer Product Safety Commission will not be banning banning the stoves. While warning labels on alcohol containers have not been updated in 30 years, specialist Dr. Ann Grumman says there's a movement gaining steam in the medical community over the issue.
Scientists have known for several decades that consuming alcohol increases risk for several types of cancers. And unfortunately, most Americans are not aware of this link between alcohol and cancer.
Experts say current alcohol warning labels lack all the key elements of the evidence needed for an effective design, using small text typically appearing on the back or side of product packaging and not including any pictures. It's Girl Scout cookie season, and they're out with a new flavor called Raspberry Rally, similar to the Thin Mints, they say, but with raspberry. The group says the new cookie's only available online to help Girl Scouts learn e-commerce skills. I'm Scott Carr.
Okay, well, that got pretty interesting. Apparently, I dropped the audio out, so I apologize about that. So let's get moving and grooving into some other things that are going on inside of the world of the news, because that is what we're here to talk about and taking a look around and all that kind of fun, jazzy stuff as we are taking a look into this meso. So what do you think here? What do you think about all of a sudden now being, this new information being found? Because that's going to be the questions that you're going to see a lot of people asking this morning. This whole scene with some of the computers that that are in question, where are these computers coming from? Maybe that's some of the stuff that we'll have to take a look at as we are going through it. It's just interesting taking a look at, listening to some of those news stories and going, what will be the subject matter on a lot of these news channels this morning as they're going through their sequence of events? I mean, what else are they going to be talking about? Maybe that's the way to look at it. Let me take a look at something real quick, because I'm slightly out of tune here when it was going through this, going through some of the sequence of the information that we're getting to see. You take a look around and then go, hey, what is going on inside of the state of California? So let's talk a little bit about what's going on with Gloria, the Gloria State City. Take a listen to this real quick. Mayor Todd Gloria told residents to gather in San Diego at the Historia Civic Center. Based on what is going on, he'll present the city council with the springs of a series of solutions that everyone can be heard over one roof.
These packages comprise 20 different reforms that will make it easier to build more affordable housing across San Diego.
So there you go. Gloria package also says that the sure long residents aren't displaced, and it creates incentives to build larger family homes and to build student housing. He's promising to come to San Diego, has been seeing the homeless population to grow in the downtown area. So that'll be the next thing to take a look at as we are going through the discussion through this. Take a listen to this coming out of California. Still, San Francisco Public Works Department is busy dealing with fallen trees after a storm on Wednesday. Rachel Gordon with the Public Works tells NBC Bay Area that they also have other things to work on.
Along with that, we're also dealing with mudslides and rock slides. So we had one on Russian Hill earlier today that we were dealing with on a pathway of getting the mud off the path.
So taking a look into that, what is going on there, department officials also hired contractors crews to help out to avoid overworking their employees, which Gordon says has already been working 16-hour shifts. I mean, automatically when you hear that, people are being overworked at any point that you say anything about working 16-hour shifts, that's for sure.
You are listening to a radio god. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a radio god. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
So there you go. A lot of stuff going on inside of that particular sequence. Take a listen to this as we are coming up on the next thing. It is 14 minutes past the top of the hour as you are hanging out here on the Rated R Safety Show. So do you feel like you're missing out on what everyone is starting to do now, that live streaming thing, and you don't know where to start or what to do? I have the resource and the information to provide to you in regards on how you can stream onto 40 social media platforms all at one time. Yes, that's 40 social media platforms all at one time. All you'll need to do is go to safetyfm.com/one. That's safetyfm.com/one. That's ONE. So just in case, and you'll be able to start live streaming just like you're hearing people starting to do right now, up to 40 social media platforms. This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
And One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding.
Whoa!
Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Oh, yes, you are still listening to the Rated R Safety Show here on Safety FM and Radio Big. There is no doubt about that, as we are hanging out and doing all the fun stuff that we get to do. Like I said, we are coming to you live from the Safety 2 Practical Application Conference that's taking place in St. Petersburg, Florida. So that is why you have the different aesthetics, you have the different things that are going on as you are hanging out with me. Yes, you can put yourself through the video torture if you want to do that. That is possible by doing so by going to safetyfm.com and clicking on the section that says visual radio, and you can do the same thing at radiobig.fm. There is no doubt about that as we are going through the sequence of events. Anyways, let's get you back into the shit list and exactly what is going on inside of the world of the news, because, you know, that's what we do here. We hang out, we talk about the news, and talk about all kinds of different stuff. So you don't have to worry about that because we're going to give it to you. Anyway, taking it right from the top, the new management at FTX has some good news for those, worrying about if they're going to be able to recoup some of their losses of the fraudulent crypto company implosion. The company has recovered more than $5 billion in liquid and soft assets that could be converted to cash. So hopefully somebody will allow you to convert it to cash. Maybe that's one way to look at it. Just last month, the company said that it could only locate about $1 billion worth of assets. Now, think about that. $1 billion to $5 billion. That is a huge change of events of the things that are going on. Also, as the dust settles, it is still unclear exactly how FTX owes creditors, because that's going to be the important portion there. Worth asking, with so many assets in the company's name, how did this become insolvent? Maybe that's something to look at. And was it bookkeeping or the accounting really so bad that they couldn't keep track of billions of dollars? And yes, that is with that lovely letter B. So keep that in mind as we are talking about it. Anyways, flyers across the country had a rough start on Wednesday morning as after a glitch of the Federal Aviation Administration computer systems forced all domestic flights to be grounded. Now think about that. What was the last time that you heard about all these flights being grounded like that? So the NOTAM system that informed the pilots and the towers, the crews across the weather conditions and potential hazards broke down overnight on Tuesday and was still offline on early Wednesday morning. While the problems appeared to be resolved on the ground about 8 a.m., the snafu caused havoc and forced the industry throughout the day to shut down about 9,200 flights of the estimated 21,000 flights that were delayed yesterday. So can you imagine when we get into that information on what's going to happen? The FAA says that the investigation that what caused a system breakdown is still underway. So we'll have to definitely take a look at that. Yesterday, I was hanging out with a government agent, a pretty high one up, to be quite honest with you, when it comes to that. So it was interesting to hear what he had to say on what was going on. So let's continue. Anyways, the Associated Press reports that the Britain Royal Mail System experienced a cyber incident on Wednesday, and that it kneecapped its ability to send letters or packages internationally. British officials seem to acknowledge that it was a cyber attack looping to the country's National Cybersecurity Center and the National Crime Agency to fully understand the impact. This is according to AP reports, so keep that in mind as we are talking. Anyways, Americans are holding a record amount of credit card debt, about $5,474 per credit card user. This represents about 13% increase year over year, according to NPR. Overall, 46% of credit card users carry a balance month to month, a 7-point increase over last year, and it gets worse. 37% of credit card borrowers who earn at least $100,000 a year carry balances month to month as well. Analysts, for the most part, are spending everyday items, not extravagant spending. So think about that. You're telling me that people are going out there and, not buying all kinds of crazy stuff, which that's normally sometimes some of the things that takes place. But in this particular case, we are making a reference piece that people are going out there and still carrying stuff on their credit cards as you're taking a look at it. Now, listen, I won't tell you what you need to do with your money because it is your money. But I always look at it from the standpoint that if you can do a charge card or you can do a debit card. Now, charge cards, you build the whole thing at the end of the month. That way you're not carrying anything over. Yeah, I know it's kind of a delay type of thing, but still, it's one of those better aspects when you're taking a look around at that. So anyways, currently 24 minutes past the top of the hour as we are still hanging out here on the Rated R Safety Show. Anyways, Pepsi is rolling out a new lemon lime alternative take to Sprite's dominance. Since rolling out the 1999 kind, Sierra Mist has failed to earn more than 1/10 of the percentage of the American soda market. Sprite, meanwhile, eats up about 8% of all sodas nationwide. Now, Pepsi plans to retire Sierra Mist and replace it with a whole new recipe for a drink called Starry. Yeah, that's it. That's what I've been looking for. I've been looking for a new Starry drink. CNN reports that marketing for Starry aimed at squarely the Gen Zens, yes, the Gen Zens, with the slogan "Starry hits different," which is something we're told young persons say. Starry hits different. Okay. Part of the product rollout will also include heavy advertising on, well, take a guess, on TikTok. So there you go. TikTok away for what you have going on. Anyways, as more states legalize weed, and I guess stress at the same time too, police are cracking down harder on high drivers, and one Phoenix company is trying to make their job easier. Electra Tech is developing a breath test to determine if someone is stoned. I mean, I don't think you need a breath test to determine that, but much like a breathalyzer that measures someone's blood alcohol content, currently it takes a laboratory, the bodily fluid analyst, to find even a trace of a residual chemical in the body from having gotten high in the recent weeks. But there isn't a tool to find out immediately and at the moment, so this could be a game changer. And I hate using that term, but I guess I just used it, so now I'm on the hook for it as I'm taking a look around. But the company says that it's partnering with an Iowa firm that can develop an ignition interlock device to detect whether a driver has been drinking, that same kind of aspect, but for when you're being high. But if you take a look at that and you kind of give it some thought process in regards to what's going on, why would you want to take the risk? I mean, at this particular point in time, you have like the Ubers of the world, you have the Lyfts of the world, you still have taxi services in most areas. Why wouldn't you just want to go ahead and do that? Opposed to, hey, let's take the risky of what is going on. I don't think it's worth its while, but that's just my gig. So that's what I got to say about it. Not that anybody really cares. I know that we just kind of hang out and take a listen to what's going on, but who cares what I have to say? Seriously.
You are listening to a Radio God. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a Radio God. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
So I think it might be a good time to sit back, sit around, and talk about this. So let's go ahead and bring in some John Smalls and let him tell us what the hell is going on with the Market Beat.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Thursday, January 12th, 2023. Equity markets advanced Wednesday and drove the S&P 500 up more than 1% at the day's high. The move was driven by an expectation today's CPI figures would confirm a cool down in inflation. The FOMC is indicating that interest rates have yet to do their work and is hinting very strongly that peak rates will be higher than the market is pricing in and will remain that way for longer than expected. A hot number or a hotter than expected number may sway market sentiment again and spark another downdraft in equities. The next FOMC meeting is less than 3 weeks away and will be a market-moving event. In this case, the FOMC confirms the market's expectations. The S&P 500 could regain the 4,200 level within a matter of weeks. The CME FedWatch tool is pricing at least another 25 basis point interest rate hike with a chance of another 50. The risk for the market is that the statement will confirm the idea that interest rates will continue to move higher despite a cool down in the CPI data should it come. You can get the inside track at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, John Smalls, for the information there of what is going on inside of the world of the market. I have to tell you, I take a look around at this thing every single day on what is happening, and I am astonished and still in some of the numbers that we're actually seeing. But I guess that's kind of part of the sequence of events of the things that do occur. But that's the way the cookie crumbles if you really kind of give it some thought process on what the hell is going on out there.
It's this show, and they just make fun of a whole bunch of people. It's just too funny. It's too stupid.
Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let me tell you what I found on the other side of the equation, because that's something to talk about. That is for sure. There is no doubt about that. So giving it from the other side, the Dow added about 268 points to close at 33,973 on Wednesday. The S&P added about 50 points to close at 3,969, and the NASDAQ added about 189 points. West Texas Intermediate closed at $77 on Wednesday, and Brent crude Crude closed at 82. The national average of a price of a gallon of gas on Wednesday was about $3.26. Bitcoin jumped about, $100 on Wednesday afternoon, trading just over $17,500. So here we go. This is the moment that we've been waiting for. So maybe that's the way to take a look at it. There was more than 9,200 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Wednesday, with about 1,300 cancellations. I'll put it to you this way. If you had an evening flight last night and you're getting a reference at 11 o'clock in the morning letting you know that your flight's going to be delayed, that's probably not a good sign. That's not a good sign of things to come as we are talking. There is no doubt about that. But a lot of people were in dismay yesterday in regards to some of the stuff that was going on, and it is totally understood in regards of what was going on. So let's kind of go through that for just a moment. The FAA says the corrupted file was the cause of thousands of flights delayed and the cancellations on Wednesday, a problem that was a continued thing that had a ripple effect. This is what NBC's Tom Costello has to say. Take a listen.
By the end of the day yesterday, we had 10,000 delays and thousands of cancellations, and that will continue through today as the airlines try to catch up.
Okay, all domestic flight departures were briefly halted by the FAA early Wednesday morning. Officials say that the corrupted file affected the primary backup notice to Air Mission Systems, which sends vital information to pilots and air traffic control. Captain John Cox, retired pilot told NBC News aviation analyst, says that the abrupt halt in flights due to the FAA computer system known as the Notice to Air Mission was shocking.
I've been a pilot a little over 53 years, and I have never, that I can remember, heard of the NOTAM system being down. It's a first.
So just take a view of that for a moment. If you have somebody who has 53 years experience and they're talking about that they have never seen this system actually go into effect, you know that it's something to be concerned about. Because, hey, if you have never seen that system down and you've been doing the work for 53 years, something definitely occurred. Now, listen, we can talk about all this stuff post-event. And it's easy to do the Monday morning quarterbacking thing, but is that really going to get us anywhere? Maybe that's the thing to think about as we are talking about this on this lovely, I almost said Wednesday because I think I'm obsessed with it being Wednesday. So let's go ahead and do this. It is close enough to do that thing that we do around this time. So let's go ahead and let's get us into our main story.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
You know, sometimes things just don't move around inside of the system as quick as we're used to inside of the studio, but that's more on me than it is on anybody else, so there is no doubt about that as we are talking. So, like I did say earlier, we are coming to you from the Safety 2 Practical Application Conference that's taking place in St. Petersburg, Florida, so don't worry about that. That's why the different scenery, depending on how you're taking a listen to us or taking a view on what the hell we have going on. But I wanted to talk a little bit about some things that I have noticed here during the conference. Of course, yesterday was a full day of the actual general session of the conference. There have been some pre-sessions that were taking place, and I'm assuming there's some post-sessions too, but let's talk about the general conference. So in regards of what's been going on, it's been pretty interesting taking a listen to how Safety 2, the practical application, has been involved with everything that's going on. But there's this thing that I have been really impressed about, and it's amazing on how we continue to talk about how we are seeing trends inside of safety, on how we're seeing things changing inside of safety. But there is this term that keeps on coming up. There is this term that is keep on being referenced during this conference that I thought that would be super important to discuss on this show. And what is that term? It's simulation. And the amount of people that are speaking about simulation, and I'm not talking about simulation theory because that could probably open a whole other wormhole. Yeah, that was just for you right there. A whole other wormhole of things that are going on. I keep on hearing the reference of simulations and running these things it's not predictive data. But it's based on taking a look at what is going on across the different genres, across the different industries, on what is happening. And the simulation theory is one thing that a lot of people like to talk about, but this is using information about simulation and how it could technically apply to what you have going on within your organization. Now, I want to make sure that I'm clear because I'm trying to give you something that's been going on for, a few hours that was being discussed in just a few minutes, so it's a little bit difficult to do. But if you take a look at it and you kind of give some thought process behind this, when you start talking about simulating potential issues and how things might work out, it's interesting because you're almost going predictive, but you're not looking at predictions. That's not what you're asking for. What you're taking a look at is what is patterns? What is some recognitions that are out there? It's really kind of a difficult thing to explain in such a short period of time. But how do you think a simulation of your work would currently do? And there was something that was referenced yesterday that was pretty interesting. Think about the amount of data that you already share with different organizations. The amount of data that people do pick up of the things that you do. And when you start taking a look at it, are we only talking about the social media aspect? Are we only talking about the things that you do inside of computers? Are we only talking about the things that you do inside of cell phones? Maybe that's all portion of the conversation. But maybe there is that look into what you do for work. And it's not to replicate exactly what you're doing, but how the work has been done through X amount of time. And there was a reference piece, too, about people that are 5'10", because that's the average height in the United States for most males, and how you would almost take them into a sequence of events of categorizing them, that there is a group of people that are 5'10". But imagine if you could break it down to a group of people that are 5'10", plus other character traits. It became a very interesting conversation. And listen, I'm going to tell you, at this practical application conference, talking about safety too, they're not talking about theory. They're talking about things that are already in place. So how do you think the simulation aspect would work inside of your work environment? And when you start talking about simulations, is that something that's even interesting to you? And how would that simulation theory work in your neck of the woods? Maybe that's something even bigger to think about as we're having this discussion. Anyways, currently 37 minutes past the top of the hour. We'll be back right after this.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You're listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Do you have a claim and not sure where to turn? Coastal Claim Consultants are professionally licensed and bonded public insurance adjusters employed exclusively by you, the policyholder, to represent you after sustaining an insured loss. They assist policyholders in all aspects of processing the claim, working closely with the insured to provide the most equitable and timely settlement possible. They will provide you with comprehensive service, anything from inspecting the loss site, analyzing damages, compiling claim support data, reviewing applicable coverages, assessing replacement costs of damages, and negotiating your settlement. The adjusters at Coastal Claim Consultants will evaluate your claim for no upfront cost whatsoever. Coastal Claim Consultants' fee is based on contingency contracts and are paid when the insurance company sends you a check and it's in your possession. Coastal Claim Consultants are licensed to assist you in the following states: Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and South Carolina. For more information, go to coastal-cc.com. That's coastal-cc.com. For more information, lighting the way to recovery. Coastal Claim Consultants.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. I know you won't, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Tearing the ass out of you like gas station sushi.
Hey, are you tired of hanging around and talking about safety in a boring kind of format? Well, I got something for you. If you haven't hung out with us yet at safetyfm.com, I'm going to encourage you to do so. Yeah, if you come out to Safety FM, you can come hang out with all kinds of safety professionals. Some are safety professionals, some are just people that are talking about safety. But we want to do it in a format that makes it fun and entertaining. If you're kind of trying to figure out what the FM portion is, well, we're a radio station and also a podcast network. You can come out, hang out, and listen to my show, The Jay Allen Show. You can listen to Todd Conklin with the pre-accident investigation, Blaine J. Hoffman with the Safety Pro, the Hop Nerd, Sam Goodman, just to name a few on what can be found on the station. Different things for different people, trying to bring safety in an entertaining form. SafetyFM.com. Go to the website, download the app, and carry it with you all day long. SafetyFM.com. We'll be waiting for you.
Warning. Listening to other radio stations could cause testicle shrinkage.
I'm talking the truth.
Board up every door. We won't outlast the storm. Chaos is coming. It's gonna rain. It's gonna rain. We fought to stay.
Okay, you are still listening to the Rated R Safety Show, coming to you from the Safety 2 Practical Application Conference in St. Petersburg, Florida. Yeah, this little tune that you hear in the background, don't worry about that. That is It's Gonna Rain by Firework Festival. I would like to thank Firework Festival for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show, hour one of the Jay Allen of the Morning Show. This song's readily available on iTunes and Spotify if you want to give it a little downloady-ody. I have to tell you, I'm always so glad on the different sequence of music that we're able to talk about and play here. So there you go. Let's get back into it. Currently 43 minutes past the top of the hour. I will make sure that we get you into hour number 2 here relatively quick. Yeah, because I'm going to speed up time. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Anyways, let me tell you about the most important thing that you'll ever hear me talk about in my lifetime, and it's no joke as I say that, and that's my friends at the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. They can help you prevent suicide. The Lifeline provides 24/7 free and confidential support for people in distress, prevention, and crisis resources for you and your loved ones, and best practices for professionals in the United States. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to 988lifeline.org. That's 988lifeline.org. You can text the word TALK to 988 or just call 988, and that will get everything rolling and bowling for you. So there is no problem whatsoever in doing so. Listen, we all go through struggles from time to time. There is no doubt about that. They are there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just reach out. Before you make the next move, just reach out to the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. That's 988. Text talk, whatever's the easiest for you to actually get to them. There you go. Let's get into some more news things of what is going on inside of the sequence of events, because that's what we do around here. We talk about what is going on, so there is no doubt about it. There has been tons of news. A lot of people still upset about what was going on yesterday. There is no doubt on when you start taking a look at flight cancellations, on how people were pissed off yesterday about what was going on. So let's talk about some vacation situations, because I think that that might be the time to talk about this, which would probably be an interesting tie-in to some of the flight stuff. But it seems that we're getting sick and tired of working from home. It just seems that that's what's going on. According to a survey, 8 in 10 people are ready to do jobs and from their vacation places. Yeah, that's an interesting one. In a poll of 2,000 remote flexible workers, 80% would consider working remotely from a vacation destination as a way to extend the length of their trip. Now, listen, I don't know if you know this, but they have been selling like condos on boats now that can actually tour for a year. I don't know if that's something you'd be interested in. But when asked to choose between a longer trip that involved some remote work or a shorter trip that required no work, twice as many respondents opted to go with a longer trip, and some work involved 46% versus 26%. Yeah, that's a 20% increase. Trust me, anytime that you get to go on vacation with a family like mine, there's a lot of work involved. There is no doubt about that. That's something to think about. And then take a listen to this. Reclining airplane seats are now on the decline. A CNN report says that that while at one point all airline seats, even the economy class, had built-in recliners, today there are entire seat models that are simply don't recline at all. It's not even an option. Well, and people might be asking why. Well, the three main reasons are as follows. The mechanism that allows the seat to lean back is significantly more expensive than a standard seat, and the maintenance, and of course the cost of purchase. Secondly, there is the weight cost. Any weight that can be saved, reducing the fuel needed to carry. And thirdly, some ways to, importantly, that there is a disruption cost because the passengers that are fighting with each other over the seat recline etiquette, which that's always kind of a weird thing about the etiquette of reclining a chair. The flight attendants have to play, schoolyard monitor, and sometimes passengers got so disrupted that the flight must be diverted for safety. Can you imagine that? All of a sudden, we have to divert your flight because somebody's pissed off that somebody else had reclined it. Think about it. So there you go. And of course, there's also might be that disruption of when you get into the seat and it doesn't recline. I remember I had a friend that got into a first class seat, and the chair was essentially broken, and it wouldn't actually go back. He was not a happy camper, and I guess that's the way that things go from time to time. Anyways, with that being said, let's bring some John Smalls inside of here and let him tell you about what the hell's going on with the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Theodore Roosevelt said, "Believe you can, and you're halfway there." I love that. What a great way to phrase it. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. So many times we let our lack of belief get in the way of achieving the things we want to do. Belief in yourself and in your ideas is a very important thing. If you don't think you can do something, you're most likely right. Henry Ford said it this way, "Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right." I've always loved that quote. Now I have another one from President Teddy Roosevelt. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. I love that. Believe you can, and you probably can. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by AlessaMorgan.com. Caffeine is the most well-known component in coffee, but it contains more than 100 biologically active components, including many polyphenols. The benefits on longevity and lower risks of cardiovascular disease, the #1 killer in most developed countries, were found in decaf coffee, which does not contain much caffeine. But the caffeine has a surprising benefit. Ground in instant coffee, but not decaffeinated, was associated with an up to 17% reduction in arrhythmias, including atrial fibrillation compared with non-coffee drinkers. In a study including almost 450,000 adults, drinking 2 to 3 cups of coffee per day was linked to a 27% lower all-cause mortality. In other words, dying from all non-accidental causes. For more information, check out AlessaMorgan.com.
Who truly cares what this guy has to say? Who gives a shit? Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so there you go. There you go. Let's see, what is it? It's currently 49 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are still hanging out on this fantastic and terrific Thursday. That is for sure. So just for information purposes, I want to make reference to this. This way we're kind of all in one general stand. Yesterday during the conference here, there was a whole presentation given by OSHA in regards to some of the things that they're incorporating and some of the standards and some of the practices they're actually doing around and out there. So what we are going to do for next week, if you're taking a listen to the Jay Allen Show, that's the one that airs on Safety FM, not the Jay Allen of the Morning Show, which can be kind of confusing. What we will be doing over there is we will actually be rebroadcasting that OSHA presentation. It's about 40 some odd minutes long. So we'll go ahead and be able to sit back, take a listen to what exactly was going on and what was said during the presentation. I want to go back in there and highlight some of those aspects. You can take a listen to that on safetyfm.com or on the podcast version, whatever works out best for your scenario. That's what we want to make sure that we're doing as we're doing this. But some of the OSHA standards and how they're applying some of the Safety 2 practices to some of the changes that is going on there, I think that conversation, when you get to take a listen to it, if you weren't here yesterday, it might surprise you on where they're going. And it will be interesting to see what happens as things do tend to move on. That is for sure. Anyways, let's get into some more new stuff because we still have all kinds of things that are going on. So taking a look around and some news stories that are going on currently, fresh off the wire. Take a listen to this. The Florida National Guard is being sent to Florida Keys as migrant crisis worsens. NBC's Guard Venegas has more on Ron DeSantis recently declaring a state of emergency.
Hundreds of Cuban and Haitian migrants touching ground since the new year. In response, Governor Ron DeSantis calling on the National Guard and over 100 guardsmen.
So take a listen to this. Key West Mayor Craig Gates said that he's trying to deter the influx of migrants that are coming in via boats and to help officials that are getting the people that are actually landing down there. DeSantis is providing dozens of planes and helicopters, bolstering the Marine patrols. Last weekend, authorities responded to 2 landings with about 153 Cuban migrants that actually had landed there. The Coast Guard rescued about 19 Haitians in Puerto Rico. Also, President Biden announced last week that about 30,000 migrants coming in from Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, and Haiti will be accepted every month, but they must enter the country legally. Take a listen to this.
If you're trying to leave Cuba, Nicaragua, or Haiti, have agreed to begin a journey to America, do not just show up at the border.
Local officials in South Florida are pleading for more support in Monroe County, according to Sheriff Rick Ramsey. Take a listen.
I'm experiencing about 10 migrant loads come in a day in my small county, which for me, resource-wise, is very challenging.
Immigration attorney Richard Huber doesn't believe that the new policy about allowing 30,000 entries via parole will slow things down.
I think that there's a lot of people already on the way, which makes it difficult because what do? Stop and go back? You know, they've already paid certain coyotes to get to the point where they've reached.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty interesting concept there when you start thinking about what they've paid to the coyotes to actually get across. Let's just be realistic is what's going on. Are they going to stop and turn around and do it in the correct fashion? That's a lot of questions that need to be answered still on what's going to happen going forward. Anyways, let's get into some other information. Let's talk about some things that happened back on this date. Taking a look around, let's see, what year do we want to go into here? Taking a look at 1995. O.J. Simpson murder trial begins in Los Angeles. The former NFL All-Star was accused of killing his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and Ron Goldman. His good friend, Robert Kardashian, was part of his defense team. That happened back in 1995. If you're looking around at some other things that are going on, if you're looking at some birthdays that are occurring today, let's talk about some of those. Ella Henderson turns 27. Dina Nicole Cortez turns 36. Jeremy Camp, 45. Toto Wolff, 51. Rob Zombie, that Rob Zombie, he turns 58. Jeff Bezos turns 59. And Howard Stern turns 69 today. Yeah, good old Howard Stern. And if you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, well, I have some of those for you that we can definitely discuss. It's National Youth Day. National Hot Tea Day, National Curried Chicken Day, Kiss a Ginger Day. I probably ask for permission before you do that. National Pharmacy Day and National Man's Plan Day. So there you go. A lot of things going on right there as we are talking. It is currently 55 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out. Let's not forget, coming up in the month of March, if you want to come out to Santa Fe, New Mexico, we're doing a Safety Differently workshop taking place with Todd Conklin, Bob Edwards, Mark Yeston, Martha Acosta, and yours truly. If you want to come and hang out for a week or so, you can actually choose which version you want to do. It'll be taking place in Santa Fe, New Mexico. We'll be talking about all kinds of different aspects of what's going on in the world of safety. So come out, hang out. You can find out more information by going to safetyfm.io. That's safetyfm.io to find out some more information on what is going on with that. Believe it starts off on the week of March the 6th, just for information purposes, as we are going along. So let's talk about this. I know some people will be slightly heartbroken as this is being discussed, but it is part of the news of what did occur. But it does look that there was no winner for Tuesday night's drawing. Friday's drawing will be for $1.35 billion jackpot, or a $707.9 million cash payout. So I guess if you play that game, feel free on doing so, because that's going to be a good case for you, for you to be able to go out there and do that. So what else do we have going? Let's talk about some whack facts real quick. Your brain literally heats up when you're stressed. Smiling can cool it down. Monkeys do floss their teeth. It takes about 120 liters of water to make one glass of wine. Cans of diet soda float, but regular soda can sink. There's at least one instance of identical snowflakes. In 1988, 2 snowflakes collected from the Wisconsin storms were confirmed to be twins. Yeah, that's something that really doesn't happen that often. And applying hemorrhoid cream to your chest and waist can make it appear more muscular. I don't know if you really want to go out there and do that, but that is an option of something that you can do. If you do need a random joke for today, I have one of those for you. Some men say that they don't wear their wedding bands because it cuts off their circulation. Well, that's the point, isn't it? I mean, that would be the thing. I'm just joking as I say that. If you need a phone starter for today, try this. What technology from a science fiction movie would you most like to have? Maybe Minority Report, the precogs. No, I'm just joking as I say that out loud. If you need something for the water cooler, try this. Question: a survey found that 20% of us start doing this in January. What is it? Christmas shopping. Now, I don't know that many people that actually do that. I can think of 5 friends off the top of my head, and I don't believe that they would start Christmas shopping in the month of January. Now, if you were buying probably decorations for Christmas for the following year, I could see you do it in the month of January, because there's going to be all the mega sales that are going on out there. But outside of that, I'm not 100% sure on what is going on. So there you go. That's what we have for you today. Like I said, if you want to come into hour 2 and hour 3 of the Jay Allen of the Morning Show, you can do that by going to radiobig.fm. I will tell you, this morning we are going to be heavily laying on music, so don't worry about that aspect, but that's really what the reason is that you go over onto that side. We will be jumping in and jumping out, coming into you live for the Safety FM aspect, talking about what is going on at the Safety 2 Practical Application Conference. Coming up next, though, it will be Sheldon Primus with a Safety Consultant show coming up right now on the station. Now, before I do let you go, I would love to leave you with a deep thought. Even if you were fed up, you got to keep your head up. Keep that in mind today as you're going through it. Thank you for always being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener, because without you, it doesn't make sense to do what we do around here. That is for sure. Keep it locked. Tonight, we will also be having a live stream by good old Jim Polzel, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern time, just so you know. That is a Safety Wars aspect going on there. You can keep it locked here on Radio Big and on Safety FM, taking a listen to the different things that are going on. I really do appreciate you spending the time with me on this lovely Thursday. Remember, I know who you are. You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
In order to save the planet from cow farts, why doesn't someone just invent really large Gas X pills?
God, what's that awful stench?